Hey there, game developers. Activision is suing Netflix for poaching their former CFO. Activision hired Spencer Newman in May of 2017, and he was under contract to be their CFO until April of 2020, with the option for Activision to keep him in that position until 2021. Activision alleges that Netflix tried to recruit Newman before his contract was up and offered to pay for any legal representation or liability that he would face for breaching his contract. This is part of a pattern of behavior with Netflix. It looks like Activision was actually waiting to see how another lawsuit would pan out before they filed theirs. Netflix recently lost a 3-year-long legal battle with 20th Century Fox for recruiting 2 executives under very similar circumstances. Netflix is also currently being sued by Viacom for recruiting an executive under very similar circumstances. It probably sounds like Netflix is in the wrong here, but let me be very clear, nobody is good in this story. In the Viacom case, Netflix is arguing that the contract is unenforceable because of its non-compete agreement. And they might be right. Non-compete agreements aren't enforceable in the state of California. But let's not pretend that Netflix cares about workers' rights. All of these executives broke their contracts to earn more money, and Netflix offered to pay them to break these contracts so they could make more money. And all of these corporations use contracts to try and prevent employees from leaving to work at another company. Corporations like Netflix or Activision don't have to follow the same rules or the same laws as the rest of us. If the only consequence they face is a fine, then that's not a punishment. That's just the cost of not having to obey that rule. Netflix paid Spencer Newman a $6 million salary this year. $6 million is more than double what Activision gave him as a salary, but that's not all he's being paid. Executives also get a lot of their compensation as stock options. If you ever hear a story about a CEO that takes a $0 or a $1 salary, then you're being misled to believe that they're not making boatloads of money. Spencer Newman made $12 million this year when you add his stock options into the equation. He broke a legal agreement to make twice as much money and faces no consequences. That $12 million might sound like a lot, but last year Netflix had a net profit of over $500 million. They can afford to ignore the rules, and they can afford to pay people to break their contracts. Activision's net profits were in the billions. They can afford to pay people to break contracts too. Don't break your contracts if you can't afford to do so, and don't have a corporation offering you millions of dollars to do so. As a general rule of thumb, if your job title doesn't have the words chief, executive, officer, or president in it, you're probably never going to get that kind of offer. You should read your employment contract before you sign it. You should negotiate your employment contract before you sign it. The moment before you sign your contract is one of the few times in your game development career that you will have negotiating power. I could do an entire talk on how to negotiate your employment contract, so expect a longer form video on that topic in the future. If you want more daily game industry updates, then please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.